Since 2011, EIE has hosted, co-hosted, or supported 16 candidate debates of different formats. EIE is the only civil society organization in Nigeria to have that track record.
Young people will have a chance to pose their questions directly to the candidates. These questions will be based on the topics of corruption, security, and the economy. In the second phase, some of the questions will be presented via a video format, and some questions will be taken from the audience. Finally, each candidate will have 1 minute to make closing statements. We have a live audience here at the Yaradua Center, and we have asked them to please refrain from applause so that we can have the conversation continue uninterrupted.
I'd like to say that nothing is going to change if we don't make deliberate efforts. This is a beginning. It's sweeping across the world. And of course, if we pull our forces together like we're already doing, a lot of things are going to change. Accountability starts from each of us.
And we must not stop here. This group must not stop here. If we stop here, then you'll be aborting what I think is a very important platform that is emerging and which can act as a check on the political class and then the political system.
Talking about reducing the size of government here.
Yes, we are coming to that. You are asking me a different question. You are asking me.
Through employment, you're talking about bringing more people, and government should employ more youth.
We can't employ people when we can't even pay their salary.
The agricultural potentials will certainly be explored in a manner that will generate more revenue for this state, because even mere potato can even be a complete representation of our oil. In fact, it will be a replacement for oil. We cannot be talking of generating internal revenue without respect for rule of law.
I would say there are so much tension people are talking about. Criminals are living everywhere. Why is it that we have it so high? Because, one, security has been politicized. It is the government's responsibility to protect life and property. If you give us the mandate by the special grace of God, one thing we must do is to provide an environment that is conducive, that will guarantee businessmen and women security to carry out their businesses.
River State, it's called, the capital is called Port Harcourt. Port. You might look at our port. Some people will blame it on the federal government, but no. If you have a state governor with a political will, who knows how to build relationships, even with people he doesn't like, then you have somebody who will revive that port. We're talking about increasing our IGR. It's so easy to move it from 6 billion to 20 billion a month. If we open that port, reduce the amount of checkpoints in the state, improve the security. Who can talk to the boys? I know the worst of the worst, and I know the best of the best. I have stopped violence before. I have a track record to prove it. I've done all of these things without being in government. I really don't think there's much of a choice here.
So when you hear people on that side talking about coming to clear the rot, perhaps because they did not live in Edo State, maybe that's why they don't understand the disaster this government has been. This is a government that has been privileged to have close to 1.4 trillion, and yet they have carried the state into a high level of indebtedness. In the past 2 years alone, they borrowed $150 million from the World Bank. Now you look at the exchange, look at the exchange rate. That money is supposed to be paid back in dollars, and they say they have an economic advisor. I believe that this government has been a disaster. I'm very proud of my record. When I was SSG, accreditation in Abu Sali University, it was 22 accredited courses. We moved it to 66. As of today, accreditation has dropped in Abu Sali University. Agriculture, Edo State was #1 in cassava. Today we are not there. Edo State was #2 in cocoa. Today we are not there. We did many housing estates.
For you to have economic growth, for you to be able to grow your economy, you have to build infrastructure. And in the last 8 years in this state, we have built almost 1,000 kilometers of roads. The road from Ekperi to Anagbete, for instance, in Edo North, has opened up over 100,000 hectares of farmland. Now, investors can access that farmland. They can drive their tractors in there and commence production. If previous governments in Edo State had built the basis, they had built roads, even 100 kilometers of roads, we will have something to build on. So for us, we would have had something to build on. So for us, economic growth is about the infrastructure you have put in place, the manpower you are training and preparing for the workplace, and the general environment you have created to attract investments into your state.
The political system in Nigeria is in a state of flux. Things change here and there. We haven't reached that stability position yet. I was the first minister of power that started the service and the maintenance.
Actually, it was during my tenure that the PDP incurred no cost on account of professional fee for litigations.
I want to set up things like Ondo State food and cocoa processing. As a state government, we're going to eliminate completely personal income tax.
We are in very bad poverty stage that people are already beginning to think that to be poor and to be in poverty is a part of life. We want to put a stem on that and stop that so that while we keep the corruption at bay, because the corruption that causes the poverty, we keep that at bay and we address directly the issue of poverty. It's sad to say that the issue surrounding the minimum wage is fraud.
Part of the burden that is weighing down the state today is servicing of debts.
Our emphasis in Ekiti State has been on education only, on theory. I'm here to make sure we convert that knowledge that we have to wealth.
The type of education we receive has been tailored towards government job. People who are not in good health, then their productivity, of course, will be low. Joblessness has become a very great threat.
We need to provide more welfare for the teachers, for retention and motivation.
We should encourage our youth to really get more involved in agriculture by giving them incentives to be able to want to stay in farm settlement.
We have mining licenses available that need to be picked up.
Governments create jobs. I come from the school of thought that actually believes that the private sector creates jobs. What government does is to enable the environment so the private sector can drive the economy.
We've departed from where we started in terms of agricultural development. We've allowed our farmers today to suffer. In the 21st century, we are still in a primitive method of farming. And as I was saying, and you give jobs to the youth. You say, look, private investor, I create the enabling environment for you, but you must respect local content.
But too many of our people, too many Nigerians, still don't have the basic things of life. They don't have electricity. They don't have good health care. They don't have good schools. They don't have good infrastructure. The time has come to ask, as we vote in 2019, are we the children of lesser gods?
Infrastructure is simply everything that you need as the backbone to be able to get the nation working and to get the society working right.
Corruption is the issue. If you can tackle it, foreign investments will come.
You cannot take the right decisions without the right data.
But these analog leaders don't know how to process data. And we need not only to process data, we need to secure our data and synchronize them.
The biggest asset we have is our people. How do we leverage our people and their resources and their intellect and ingenuity? What we are seeing is abandonment of governance.
I will apply the principle of Uche, the concept of knowledge, of wisdom, the principle of Uchu, the concept of hard work, and the principle of Uchuku morality.
There is only one person with the experience who has done it before.
I wasn't involved. I don't know what he's talking about, kidnapping. I had no business in that kidnapping.
Come on.
Now, there's a white paper that came out on the kidnapping. There's a white paper on the kidnapping. Why didn't they put my name in the kidnapping? It has anything to do with it. What are you talking about? I made sure you are the central bank governor. What have you done so far? You haven't done anything. You haven't done anything about it. You came from, they brought you to me, and I made sure.
Brought you?
My brother brought you. Yes.
Okay.
Come on.
When did you graduate?
1974.
1974?
Yes.
That you have senior school certificate?
Go and check.
In 1974?
Go and check it. I have a
1974?
Yes. Go and check.
You have senior school certificate in Enugu State?
Look.
It's forgery.
Go and check it. The school is there.
Bottom line is that this government has simply failed in the basic tests of fairness, equitability, and common decency. And that is why there must be change in this country.
21 million. That is the number of Nigerians who are presently unemployed. Never before in the history of our country have we had such a huge number.
When I went to Agatu in 2016, I had not seen that kind of level of human deprivation. Nothing I took to Agatu could go around these people. They were struggling for it. They did not have food. A woman gave birth in the IDP camp. Her clothes were torn in that IDP camp. That baby's umbilical cord could not be cut. That baby died. I have seen this firsthand. So to have somebody just come up and just talk, with all that laxity about security, it does hurt. It does burn me.
This government is going to run on its record. Let us be clear. 15,000 people are dead. 3.5 million people displaced, 30,000 kilometers of landmass of Nigeria lost. The landmass we lost to Boko Haram is similar to the size of Belgium. Let's be clear on that.
Now, that's a blatant lie.